I'm not going anywhere, I said, standing barefoot on my porch, coffee still in my hand. That's when they showed up. Two men in cheap black uniforms, no badges, no name tags, just walkie-talkies clipped to their belts like props from a Halloween costume. One of them stepped forward and waved a piece of paper in my face like it was supposed to mean something. You're in violation of Section 4B of HOA Property Code. You need to vacate immediately, he said, all puffed, up like a rooster. I blinked. Section 4B of what? Before he could answer, Karen appeared. Yeah, that Karen. The same lady who left 6 complaints in 1 week about my non-regulation mailbox and called animal control because my dog barked twice during the day. She strutted right past the fake cops like she owned them. Her voice was already raised before she even reached me. I told you this would happen. You think you can build whatever you want in my neighborhood? This is an HOA community and I run things here. I almost laughed. You live 3 houses over, Karen. You're not on the board. You're not even invited to the meetings. She smirked and snapped her fingers. Warrant, now. The fake cop shoved the paper into my chest again, this time a little harder. Step back, sir. This is official HOA action. That's when I knew it wasn't just a stunt. This wasn't just Karen being annoying. This was something else. They weren't here to talk. They came to intimidate. And for a second, I actually felt cornered. My 8-year-old son peeked out the window behind me. I saw his little fingers clutch the curtain, his eyes wide. That's when something switched inside me. I set the coffee mug down slowly on the porch railing, reached into my back pocket, and pulled out my wallet. Karen rolled her eyes. Oh, please, what are you going to show us? A coupon? I flipped it open and held it up at eye level. Dark blue, silver embossed seal, gold badge, federal agent, Department of Homeland Security. Dead silence. Then Karen said the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Fake. That's fake. You think you can scare me with a dollar store prop? I just stared at her, calm, steady, watching her dig her own grave with every word. She had no idea what she'd just started. Karen took a step forward, her face twitching with the kind of fake confidence only people like her manage to summon. You think flashing some toy badge is going to stop this? These men are with the HOA enforcement team. This is a legal eviction. The taller of the 2 officers tried to stand straighter, but his boots gave him away, worn-out soles, mismatched laces, and no regulation tread. I scanned him once, then twice, no sidearm, no ID, not even a clipboard. Just a walkie-talkie he hadn't touched once since arriving. You're impersonating law enforcement, I said quietly, locking eyes with him. The shorter one shifted, uncomfortably, but didn't say a word. Karen scoffed, raising her voice for the neighbors who were now starting to peek through their blinds. He's bluffing. He's just some angry divorced guy with a backyard shed and a power trip. Don't fall for it. I took a slow step down the porch steps, and with each one, her voice lost volume. You said you had a warrant, I said to the taller guy. Mind if I see it up close? He hesitated. Just a beat. But it was enough. I reached for the paper still crumpled in his hand and yanked it gently. No resistance. It wasn't even on official paper, just some printed nonsense from a Word document. Font size 16. And the HOA logo? Cropped, blurry, crooked. I held it up, letting it flap in the breeze. This isn't a warrant. It's not even good clip art. Karen lunged forward and tried to snatch it back, but I stepped aside. I've seen people go to federal prison for less than this, I said, and that's when her face changed. Not just the tone, the temperature. Her skin went pale. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Suddenly, her HOA cops weren't so sure of themselves anymore. The tall one finally spoke. We were told this was just like a code violation thing. A warning. I raised an eyebrow. By who? He turned to Karen. She looked like she wanted to scream but didn't know which lie to commit to first. You lied to them too? I asked her, voice low but sharp. You brought people onto my property, told them I was illegally occupying my own home, and handed them a fake document to back it up? She snapped. I told you that sheet in your backyard wasn't up to code. I tried to warn you, but you wouldn't listen. I stared at her for a long second, then finally said, That shed? That's not a shed. That's my certified, government-issued, ballistic-tested equipment storage unit, and it was approved directly by a federal contractor. Dead. Silence. Again. She had no idea what she had just walked into, and I hadn't even shown her the security footage yet. Karen's jaw dropped just a little, but she quickly covered it up with more noise. You can't just say stuff like that. Anyone can print a badge. Anyone can pretend they work for the government. I didn't even look at her. I turned to the fake cop who hadn't said a word since the moment he arrived. You want to be part of this lie, or you want to walk away before it becomes a felony? He glanced at Karen, then at his partner, and stepped back. I didn't sign up for this. I thought this was just HOA junk. She said the guy was squatting. Karen's voice cracked. You coward! I paid you to. She froze. Everyone froze. I tilted my head. Paid? She clutched her handbag like she wanted to shove the word back in her mouth. That's not what I meant. But it was too late. One neighbor across the street had now fully opened their door. Another stood on their porch, phone in hand, recording. Karen spun toward them. Stop recording. This is a private matter. I gave the camera a calm look. You're all witnesses. These two men were brought onto my property under false pretenses. A fake HOA document, a fake claim of authority, and now, an admission of payment for impersonation. Karen yelled, That's not what But I cut her off, raising my voice just enough. And for the record, this is my land. Paid off, deeded, surveyed. No HOA jurisdiction past the mailbox. The line stops. There. I pointed at the ground right between us. Everything past this line is federal land tied to my clearance. You crossed onto restricted ground with false authority, and you brought company. Karen's face finally cracked. The color drained completely and her lips trembled now instead of smirking. I turned slowly and nodded at the tall guy. What's your name? He hesitated, then mumbled, Jason. I reached into my wallet again, this time pulling a second card, not the badge, the other one. I held it out. This is the name of the federal investigator handling impersonation and domestic harassment cases in this district. Call her. Let her know what Karen told you. If you cooperate, you won't be charged. Karen screamed, He's lying. There's no investigator. This is all fake. I didn't even answer. I stepped back toward my house and opened the door. Inside, the monitor was already playing back the footage, high quality, time-stamped, with full audio. The same footage I had already uploaded to cloud storage. The same footage that showed Karen staging the plan 3 nights ago with audio. I turned and looked at her one last time. You think you're in charge here, but you just broke about 6 laws before breakfast. Karen's mouth opened, but nothing came out this time. Her hands twitched near her sides as if she didn't know whether to run, argue, or cry. The neighbors were no longer just watching. They were filming. Phones out, cameras up. The neighborhood. Facebook group was probably already buzzing. Jason, the tall guy, looked at Karen with something between betrayal and regret. You said this was just a zoning thing. You didn't say he was a Fed. Karen snapped at him, voice high and sharp. You're seriously taking his side? I'm the one trying to keep this neighborhood safe. He's the problem. He's the one bringing in weird equipment, acting like some spy. He doesn't even belong here. That word. I stepped forward again just once. Say that again? She hesitated. I said it slower. He doesn't belong here. Her eyes darted. I meant, you know, he's not like the rest of us. You moved in out of nowhere, you built things without asking, you don't attend HOA events. You just sit there like you're watching all of us. I gave a short, dry laugh. That's because I am watching. That's literally my job. I turned back toward my open door and called over my shoulder. You want to see what I've got in that equipment unit you hate so much? Fine. Let's take a tour. Karen flinched. Don't you threaten me? But I wasn't threatening. I was just done playing. I led them, Jason, the quiet one, and a small crowd of curious neighbors, along the side of my house to the back where the so-called shed sat. Steel walls, biometric lock, 4 discrete cameras. Karen had complained about it at least a dozen times. Let me guess, I said. You told the HOA it was a meth lab, right? No answer. I opened the lock with a thumb scan and keypad. The doors clicked open with a mechanical hiss. Inside, labeled cases, tactical, gear, backup comms, encrypted drives, sealed evidence containers, all legit, all tagged, all federal property. Karen stepped back like the air had just left her lungs. This isn't a game, I said. I don't care if you hate my fence, my shed, or my dog's bark, but you sent men onto federal ground under a lie, forged a legal document, and weaponized your fake HOA status to push someone out of their own home. That's not petty. That's criminal. Her voice was barely a whisper now. I didn't know. But I wasn't done. You did. You planned it. I have you on tape. The printouts came from your IP address. The conversation you had in your driveway 2 nights ago, caught on my perimeter mic. And you used HOA logos without permission. That's wire fraud and impersonation. Jason spoke up again, quiet this time. Are we in trouble? Looked at him. That depends. If you walk away now and give a full statement, maybe not. Karen lunged at him. You said you'd help me. You said you'd back me up. He stepped away from her like she was contagious. You lied to me. Karen looked like the world was tilting under her feet. Her voice cracked for real now. But I was just trying to get control back. People don't follow the rules. Anymore. I stared at her. Cold. Steady. No, Karen. You weren't trying to enforce rules. You were trying to own people. And you picked the wrong person this time. Karen's legs gave a little, like her heels weren't sure they wanted to support her anymore. She gripped the side of my gate to steady herself, but the strength she always faked, the attitude, the loud voice, the entitled posture, it was all gone. Jason stepped away from her fully now. His partner had already backed out of the yard, hands up, quietly slipping into his car like he wanted to disappear before this got any worse. Karen's voice was barely holding on. You can't do this to me. I'm respected here. I built this community. People trust me. I looked around. 4 neighbors were still recording. One woman across the street called out, Karen, you harassed that man. We saw the whole thing. Another voice chimed in. You tried to evict a federal agent with fake cops? Are you insane? Karen spun in place like she was surrounded, her panic rising. He's lying. This is a setup. He doesn't even belong here. I've lived here for 12 years. I took 1 step forward, not angry, just firm. You keep saying I don't belong here. You want to know something, Karen? She stared, frozen. I didn't choose this neighborhood because it was fancy. I chose it because it was quiet. I've been deployed 6 times. I've been shot at, lied to, sent into places that don't exist on maps. I came back home to heal, not to fight more battles in my own backyard. Karen opened her mouth, but no sound came out. I followed every code. I stayed out of everyone's way. But you made it your mission to control something that was never yours to begin with. You forged documents, you lied to your neighbors, and worst of all, you brought danger to my doorstep where my kid lives. That one landed. Hard. She staggered back a step like the weight of what she'd done finally broke through her denial. Just then, a cruiser rolled around the corner, blue and red lights flashing. Someone had called the real cops. Karen panicked. No, this is all wrong. He's making this up. That badge is fake. He's a fraud. You have to believe me. But the officers weren't listening to her. One of them stepped out, recognized me instantly, and nodded. Agent Cole, we got your flag on the call. You good? I nodded. Yeah, but she's not. Karen turned ghost white. I handed over the fake warrant document. Impersonation, trespassing, harassment, forgery. She brought people onto restricted property under false authority. The officer looked at Karen. Ma'am, turn around. Hands where I can see them. She screamed, This is a mistake. You can't arrest me. I'm on the HOA committee. He didn't even blink. You're being detained for questioning and potential charges related to impersonating legal process and misuse of community authority. You have the right to remain silent. As he read her rights, Karen sobbed, loud, messy, panicked sobs. She looked around, desperate for someone, anyone, to defend her. No one stepped forward. Everyone had seen her for what she truly was. And just like that, Karen, the queen of control, got cuffed in front of the whole neighborhood. As Karen was placed in the back of the police cruiser, her cries echoing down the quiet suburban street, something strange settled over the neighborhood. Silence. Not the peaceful kind I moved here for. The kind that comes right after a storm. The officers nodded again, asked me to forward the footage, and drove off with Karen still shouting something about her rights and lawyers. Jason stood at the edge of my driveway, rubbing the back of his neck. He looked like he'd aged 5 years in the last 15 minutes. Man, I swear I didn't know she'd take it that far. I thought I was just helping with some complaint junk. Didn't even bring my gun, just a fake badge and a belt. I gave him a long look. Then this is your warning. Don't follow people like her again. Next time you might step on someone's land who isn't as patient as I am. He nodded, slowly, then turned and walked off without another word. One by one, the neighbors began to drift back inside, whispering among themselves. But now they looked at me differently. Not with suspicion. With something else. Respect, maybe. Or maybe guilt for not speaking up sooner. I stepped inside, locked the door, and stood in the quiet hallway for a moment. My daughter came around the corner, 10 years old, wide-eyed, holding her tablet, like a security blanket. Dad, what was all that yelling? I knelt beside her and brushed the hair from her forehead. Just someone who forgot how to treat people, but it's over now. She stared at me for a second, then asked, Are we gonna have to move again? That question hurt more than anything Karen ever said. No, sweetheart. We're not going anywhere. I smiled, then added with a soft laugh, Pretty sure we just secured our spot here for good. That night I uploaded the full video, start to finish. I didn't add drama, just facts. A quiet caption at the beginning. Fake HOA cops tried to storm my house. They didn't know who they were dealing with. By morning, the video had over 3 million views. The comments were wild, half furious at Karen, half saluting me. One read, This man is what every HOA bully fears, a calm, quiet guy with actual power. Another, The real patriot move is staying calm while they lose their minds. And the best one, she thought she could push out a vet from his own land. That's not a Karen, that's a cautionary tale. A week later, I got a notice. Not from the HOA, from the county. Turns out, after some digging, Karen had been using forged signatures to push HOA policy, misused funds, harassed multiple homeowners. She wasn't just disliked now, she was being investigated. The new neighborhood mood? Quiet, friendly, safe, and no more fake notices on my door. Because now, everyone knew. I wasn't just the guy with the cameras in the shed, I was the guy with the badge. The guy no one should have messed with. The guy who fought for his land without firing a single shot.